So in this video, I'm going to discuss an EU alternative passport, one of the fastest in the world. In 3 years, you can obtain this citizenship. It's one of the most solid passports you can ever obtain with all the bells and whistles, all the strong access that you can ever ask for from a citizenship. It's a safe country, beautiful country. You start off with a direct permanent residency, and then in 3 years you become a citizen. This is the number one Argentina killer in 2026. Now, prior to 2026, in 2025, Argentina used to be the fastest possible citizenship through natural normal means, a normal, ordinary, not the purchased passport stuff, but a real citizenship with the normal time on the ground. Argentina used to rank number one because it had a solid, strong passport. Time frame to citizenship was theoretically 2 years, practically three, considering that it's a court case based application and stuff like that. Now, quickly, this option has become the number one. It competes with the EU, and I'm going to explain why, but it has killed Argentina as an option. Now, chasing a passport directly from the EU is one of the worst things you could do in 2026, and most expats have realized this. In 2025, a lot of people used to say, I dream for an EU passport, I want to get an EU passport, how do I get a residency in the EU, and then work towards that easy, flexible passport. The only theoretical answer to that question was from Portugal. You had a paper residency that could lead to citizenship. Now that door is closed, that door is locked. So now in 2026, the strategy shifts. And this is not immigration or legal advice, but I strongly feel one should not get or chase an EU passport in 2026, because most EU countries are going to tax you as a tax resident up to 50% in most cases in taxes. So losing half your money trying to chase an EU passport. Most countries now naturalize citizens in 10 years. So for 10 years, if you're going to pay 50% taxes, that's stupidity. That does not make any sense. So an EU passport does not make any sense. Why would you even need an EU passport in the first place? The short and simple answer is to live in the EU lifelong. You can keep traveling within the EU, within the Schengen zone. You can spend your life in the EU using the mobility of that passport. And that's exactly what you should not be doing. You should not be settling. You should not be living in the EU, because if you plan to live in the EU lifelong, you're going to be taxed at up to 50%, and that's exactly what you want to get away from. So the whole objective is to get a solid, strong passport that has the EU access. Maybe you can add a EU paper residency, but chasing a passport is the most ridiculous thing one can ever do, because you don't want to be paying 50% taxes for the next 10 years till you get the EU passport. And after getting the EU passport, you absolutely don't want to pay the 50% taxes by living in the EU. So why are you even getting a EU passport? I think one should not be looking at an EU real estate. One should not be looking at an EU passport. One should be looking at a high quality EU passport alternative that can be used to enter the EU, and then you rent within the EU. You purchase outside, right? You purchase outside the EU, purchase properties, purchase assets, diversify your assets globally outside the Western countries. But to spend your time, yes, you use the passport. Yes, you utilize your time in the EU, float around the different beautiful countries, go to Denmark, go to Norway, go to France, enjoy your life as a non-citizen, as a non-resident. That is the strategy that most expats are following. Now, before I disclose this country and the pathway and the options, if you're new to this channel, please check your subscription. This really matters. This makes a big difference. It helps me get you more valuable content. And whenever there's breaking news, there's any change, any update, any new program, I promise you would be the first one to be notified. So please go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Now, the option that I'm talking about here, the number one Argentina killer, is the Uruguay citizenship. And yes, this is one of the fastest, natural, amazing, strong citizenships that you can chase. In 3 years, you can naturalize. The physical presence for citizenship is amongst one of the lowest that you can get.
The important thing is that you can before the third year, because once you become legal resident of Uruguay, you need to enter in the country at least once every 3 years. So if you come before the year 3, it's perfect.
Looking at 18 months of physical presence for the citizenship, but you don't need to if you continue to maintain the permanent residency. It's only if you or your family member is looking to get the citizenship, then you spend the 6 months each year in Uruguay.
Uruguay from scratch is permanent residency. We apply for permanent residency. There is no a minimum time to be in Uruguay. Yes, once you have the residency, come once every 3 years at least, uh, and that's it.
Now, why would someone spend 6 months in Uruguay? It is the Switzerland of Latin America. You have the EU quality life that you would get over there. So instead of dreaming and wanting to go to the EU, spend 6 months each year for 3 years in Uruguay, and you earn yourself a rock solid, respectable passport, and that passport has all the EU access that you need. It has all the respect that you need in order to travel. So you don't want to be traveling on a Caribbean passport. You want to get flagged everywhere you go. Now this option directly starts off with a permanent residency, and we have a team that's based in Uruguay.
You have the experience, you were there, and I wasn't in Asuncion. I have a lovely team in Paraguay and in Uruguay as well. So it doesn't depend just on
I
me
see.
if I'm there or not.
For our clients, it's a breeze because end-to-end experience, there are multiple people taking care of different things. Anything comes up, you know you're covered.
Headed by our head of legal, who is a natural born Uruguayan who has been doing this for the last 11 plus years, right? Specializing on the ground in immigration, attorney directly interacts and deals with immigration. That makes the process robust and solid.
You can apply for citizenship, and the process takes around 6 months to 1 year to get the passport.
And you get your benefit on time. I personally believe no one does it better than us, better than our team.
Because almost everyone watching this channel earns that much money. So that's why people are super excited, because not a lot of people knew about this option. This is a brand new service. So you can not only get the
So at any point in time you want to start this direct permanent residency in Uruguay, this has no golden visa fees, nothing. I personally feel this option should be worth 200 to 500k in real estate, but it's not. It's not like Panama. It's not like Portugal. This is the time to act and grab this permanent residency. It does not make any sense to sit and think about this. This is the time to get this before they convert this into golden visa. Right now, it is next to free option. You're not donating. You're not paying any golden visa fees. Of course, you're going to pay the attorney, the team, to get you this benefit. So that is the only cost that you're looking at. The qualifying criteria is where the magic happens. Is only $1,200 a month.
There's extreme buzz, and the buzz is about now being able to qualify using job salary, active salary. And you mentioned 1200 USD is sort of the threshold that people should show. I wanted to hear more.
Yeah. It qualifies perfect. If you work for a company abroad that pays you that amount, perfect, you qualify.
In income that you're showing, and no, this is not rental income, this is not passive income, this is not retirement income, this is active salary, a job income. Of course you can show any type of income, but you can also show your job salary. And most of you guys watching earn $1,200 a month. I know, because I talk to most of you, and easily you and your spouse earn $1,200 a month. So that's all that you're showing to immigration, and you can obtain this direct permanent residency. It only takes 3 days of your time in Montevideo to get the process completed.
Okay. In Uruguay, we need you 3 working days as well.
Okay.
What is mandatory in Uruguay is to do a health check. It's for all Uruguayans, we have to do it. So nothing happens if you have your blood, sugar blood is bad, or like if your results are not good. It's not, they don't discriminate because of that. So we do a health check, and then that day, the next day, we go to immigration. The interview is maybe takes around 20, 30 minutes. It's very basic. We present all the documents, and around 3-4 months later, and you can leave. and around 3-4 months later, your residency will come out.
And then once the final card is issued, you can come back and collect your permanent residency. In order to maintain this permanent residency, you only need to enter the country once in every 3 years. And of course, if you're looking to naturalize, you spend the minimum physical presence that's required for citizenship purposes. And in 3 years, that's the fastest. It can take up to 5 if you're a single, but if you're doing this with family, if you're including your spouse, then in 3 years, you can obtain this EU alternative passport. An Uruguayan passport is as solid, as good as the EU passport. In addition to the Schengen access on the Uruguayan passport, you're also a Mercosur citizen. So you have settlement rights in Peru, Chile, Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and all these hot Latin countries. And it's not just about Uruguay, it's settlement and freedom of movement rights across the Mercosur, which is the Schengen equivalent in Latin America. And then, as I said, of course, you have the Schengen access once you add a paper residency on the Uruguayan passport. Let's say you do a Latvia paper residency. And if you've missed my coverage on the Latvia paper residency, the cheapest possible EU paper residency that you can add to either the Uruguayan or the Turkish CBI passport, you can hop onto this video. This covers all the details. I hope you liked this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up and catch you in this one.